9/11 Operation Twins, PAART 1 Chapter 6, What is Really Communism? By Slobodan Radojev, Mitric, the Faculty of Political Science at the Military Academy, where Lieutenant Boris Kulikov and a KGB officer are teaching the dogmas of communism, has windows overlooking Lofortov Park. Lieutenant Kulikov asks a cadet, Alex, tell us in short, what is Marxism? Alex jumps to his feet and recites, Marxism is the philosophical, economic and political theory of the German philosopher and sociologist Karl Marx. Very good. Sit down, please. Boris looks for a new candidate. He points his finger to a good-looking student from Kazakhstan with black hair, thick eyebrows and a breathtaking face. Nikita, what is Marxism in philosophical terms? Nikita stands up. She looks at him with respect. Noticing, without showing it, that he appears to be fond of her, she replies slowly. Marxism is so-called dialectical materialism applied to nature and society. That's right. Sit down, please. Who wants to explain what dialectics is? Several students raise their hands. Boris points to a funny fat boy from Kiev everyone calls the Ukrainian, who says, dialectics is the rhetoric of presenting false statements and conclusions as true. That's right. Lieutenant Kulikov replies, asking further, how does Hegel define dialectics? Marx says, for Hegel, the process of thinking, transformed into an independent subject under the label of the idea, is the creator of reality. To me it's reverse. The ideal is nothing else but the material world transformed in the human head. Very good, the lieutenant says, looking through the window. For a second he imagines to be seeing Olga, but rejects this as impossibility. Since it was not her, he continues with the same student. What is Lenin's conclusion? The Ukrainian thinks for a second, shrugs his shoulders and admits, I don't know, comrade lieutenant. Okay, sit down. Anybody else? Kulikov looks at the rest of the class, searching for someone to answer his question. But since no one volunteers, he does it himself. Lenin disagrees with Marx and says, according to Marx, dialectics is the science of the general laws of motion pertaining to the external world and at the same time to the inner world of the human mind. Several students write this down. The lieutenant returns to his desk and continues, Nikita, what is communism? Communism is the social system that comes historically after capitalism, she answers readily. Go on. Communism is a classless society based on a high level of production. In communism, all the means of production are owned by society as a whole. Excellent. Sit down. He turns to a dark-haired boy at the back of the class who is almost asleep. Joseph. Who controls production? What production? The boy asks sheepishly in return. Not yours. That's for sure. Sit down, the lieutenant answers angrily. Who wants to answer this question? I do. A tall Mongolian boy stands up. Production is planned and under conscious control of the whole of society in order to satisfy and serve its various needs and demands. Excellent. Boris replies, asking again. How many phases are there in communism? We only know a lower and the higher phase of communism. That's correct. Sit down. Nikita, explain the lower phase of communism. The lower phase of communism is socialism. Socialism retains some traces from the bygone period of capitalism. The means of production are under common ownership, but the distribution of goods is still done according to certain rules. In socialism, class differences remain in existence and there is a difference between intellectual and the manual labor. There is also still some state hierarchy. Bravo. Beautiful. The lieutenant is excited by her reply and again addresses the sleepy boy in the corner. Are you awake now? Yes, sir. Joseph replies. Correct answer. Boris says sarcastically. Everyone laughs, even the boy in the corner. The lieutenant continues. Joseph, Explain the higher phase of communism. The higher phase of communism is the next step in the development of the economy. In the higher phase, everyone labors under reduced working hours. In this phase, the distribution of goods is done according to individual needs. There are no classes or state anymore. Look at this. He is really awake. Kulikov jokes. Excellent. Sit down. The whole class starts laughing again. The KGB officer Boris Kulikov steps from behind his desk back into the class and begins his lecture. Our lecture today will be on the dictatorship of the proletariat. He raises his voice, continuing, "What is a dictatorship of the proletariat? It is a state form of government by the workers themselves, e.g., the proletariat, which has to be set up in order to abolish capitalistic exploitation and capitalism itself, and to establish a communist society." Boris takes a short break to fix his uniform, continuing, "In the gap between capitalist and communist society, there is a period of revolutionary activity of transforming the former into the latter." He coughs. "We call this period a transitional political phase and the only possible state organization for this is the revolutionary dictatorship of the proletariat. The laws of the democratic bourgeois state are made for the preservation of the bourgeois social system and its capitalist economy. Hence, the working class has no choice but to bridge these laws in order to abolish capitalism. That is why its control and actions have to be violent to a higher extent depending on the circumstances. It is important to fight against the old system and its laws. This is the only way to crush the resistance of the exploiting capitalists. ******. What really is communism? Many of my friends on Facebook attack Ivikadasic Fall and our other current and former politicians, because they are commies. They are right, they are really commies but not communists. Commie is a term that our people have used to describe the rulers during the reign of Josip Broz Tito. Belgrade students in the year 1968 called the corrupt rulers red bourgeoisie. Just as nationalist and Nazi are not the same, communist and commie are not the same. I am not a communist nor Nazi, let alone a commie. I love my Serbian people and I am proud to be a Serb. I will continue to be a Serb as long as I live. I have nothing against communists, but I'm a big anti-Nazi and anti-commie. Whoever is interested in what communism is, it can read a chapter from the novel Operation Twins. One of the main characters of the novel is now a general of the counterintelligence service of the Russian Federation. In the early 80s, he was a lieutenant of the KGB in the Soviet Union. At the same time he was a professor at the Marxist-Leninist University of Kiev. His conspirative name in the novel Operation Twins is Boris Kulikov, in which he graphically explains what communism really is. Operation Twins is a novel that describes the plans of the U.S. government, in the early 80s, to build in outer space the spaceship, Ronald Reagan, from which with laser cannons all Soviet missiles with nuclear warheads could be destroyed and then conquer the whole world. The novel was written in 1982 and was seized in 1986, because it demonstrated the weaknesses of the project. The conspirators, that had invested billions of dollars in the project, realized that their dream were not feasible and in order to get their money back, they destroyed the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center in New York on September 11, 2001. After in advance stealing gold bars and other brilliant gems worth $40 billion from the safes of the International Anti-Terrorist Center that was located in the Twin Towers. All this is a long story and it is a big question mark when the real criminals, who destroyed the Twin Towers, will be arrested. But here is the utopia of Boris Kulikov from the original manuscript that is no tread through by a lector of the novel Operation Twins, that was partially published and illustrated with collages showing passenger planes crashing into the Twin Towers in New York, the Senate in Washington, the UN building in New York, the the German Central Bank in Frankfurt, the Dutch Parliament in The Hague, etc. In the years 1991 to 1993 in the magazine The Serbian Army, and in which in near 12 on December 32, 1993 the chapter, What is Really Communism? Appeared. In 1999, the first part of the novel Operation Twins was published in Serbian and in English in the Netherlands in 2005. The entire novel consists of 3 parts, a total of 800 pages, and is still in the archives of the CIA and the White House. The U.S. hide the truth about what really happened on 9/11 and certainly do not want to give their teenagers and young people around the world the opportunity to read the doctrine of Boris Kulikoff. What is really communism? It seems to me that the Yankees and NATO are really afraid of this truth. They would rather bring down 1,000 twins towers than that the whole world could get a chance to read the entire novel. Anyway, now it is possible for anyone who wants to actually read without charge at least this specific chapter on communism on Facebook. I hope you will understand that commie and communist are not one and the same. As a writer, I was required to faithfully describe the character in the novel. And I am sure that every person on this earth knows how to distinguish good from evil. Therefore, and exactly therefore, I described everything so. And included in this novel the chapter, What is Really Communism? And not to propagate communism. Dear Slobodan. Here the translation. I also looked through the chapter and made 1 or 2 corrections. I hope it also brings us some commercial gain, because I had just told you that, considering my desolate financial situation, from now on I would no longer do things that people ask me for nothing. But in your case, I make an exception, because your financial state of affairs is even worse than mine. But at least, I find that people should be aware of this. Robert Kelder *****.